January 24, 1961. The Cold War is at its most dangerous point. The United States and the Soviet Union are locked in an arms race, each side holding enough nuclear firepower to destroy the planet several times over. But on this freezing night over rural North Carolina, the greatest nuclear threat to America doesn't come from Moscow. It comes from America itself. High above the farmlands near Goldsboro, a B-52 Stratofortress bomber is in trouble. On board? 2 hydrogen bombs, each more than 250 times more powerful than the weapon dropped on Hiroshima. And when the bomber begins to fall apart, those bombs are about to drop. Only a single mechanical switch stands between the East Coast and unimaginable devastation. To understand what happened that night, you have to understand the world in 1961. This was the era of constant nuclear readiness. The United States maintained a fleet of B-52 bombers in the air at all times under a strategy called Operation Chrome Dome, armed with live nuclear weapons, flying near the edges of Soviet territory. The idea was simple. If the Soviets launched a surprise attack, America could retaliate instantly. The risk, of course, was obvious. Live nuclear bombs in constant motion meant that any accident, mechanical failure, pilot error, or bad weather could have catastrophic consequences. But in the tense logic of the Cold War, leaders accepted those risks. Nuclear weapons weren't just a tool of war, they were a political statement, and the more you had in the air, the safer you thought you were. Or so it seemed. On January 23rd, Major Walter Scott Tulloch and his crew took off from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro. The mission was a standard patrol, nothing unusual. Their B-52 carried 2 Mark 39 hydrogen bombs, each with a yield of about 3.8 megatons. For comparison, Hiroshima's bomb was about 15 kilotons. These bombs weren't just big, they were city killers. But as the plane cruised over the East Coast, a fuel leak developed in the right wing. It wasn't uncommon for the B-52, which was notorious for maintenance issues. Still, this leak was worse than usual. It was draining thousands of pounds of fuel within minutes. At 12:30 a.m., the situation became critical. The leak caused a structural failure in the wing, and the B-52 lost control. The crew tried to stabilize the aircraft, but the massive bomber began breaking apart in mid-air. The order came: bail out. 7 crew members managed to eject or parachute to safety, though 2 died during the attempt and 1 was trapped in the wreckage. But the real danger was what the plane was carrying. As the B-52 came apart, the 2 hydrogen bombs dropped into the dark sky. One bomb deployed its parachute and drifted down into a field near the small community of Faro. The other plunged nose first into a muddy field at over 200 miles per hour, shattering on impact. And here's where the story gets truly terrifying. Declassified government reports later revealed that the bomb with the parachute went through 3 of its 4 arming steps. The final step, a simple low-voltage switch, remained open. If that switch had closed, whether due to impact forces, electrical charge, or pure bad luck, eastern North Carolina could have been obliterated in a thermonuclear blast. A full detonation would have instantly vaporized everything within a several-mile radius. Tens of thousands could have died in the first seconds. The fallout plume, depending on wind direction, could have blanketed major East Coast cities, possibly reaching Washington, D.C., Baltimore, or even New York within hours. Some scientists have modeled worst-case scenarios, suggesting that such an explosion could have killed over 1 million people in total. That's not speculation. Those numbers are based on the bomb's actual yield and meteorological patterns from that night. Military recovery teams moved in immediately. the parachuted bomb was carefully defused and made safe. The second bomb, the one that hit the ground, proved far more difficult. Its uranium secondary was buried deep in the swampy soil, and recovery teams couldn't dig it all out. To this day, a portion of that bomb remains buried in the farmland outside Goldsboro. The government purchased the site and keeps it under permanent restriction. Official monitoring has found no dangerous radiation levels, but the fact remains. Part of a thermonuclear weapon lies beneath that field. For decades, the U.S. government kept the true danger of the Goldsboro Incident secret. Locals were told it was a training accident. The presence of live hydrogen bombs wasn't confirmed publicly until the 1980s. In 2013, a declassified report from a Pentagon engineer, Parker F. Jones, made headlines worldwide. Its title, "Goldsboro Revisited: How Close We Came to a Nuclear Catastrophe." His conclusion was chilling. One simple, dynamo technology, low-voltage switch stood between the United States and a major catastrophe. In plain language, we were saved by luck. Over the years, stories have grown around the event. Some locals claim they heard an enormous explosion that shook their houses. Others say mysterious illnesses became more common in the years after. But there is no verified scientific evidence for these claims, and official radiation surveys have found nothing alarming. There's also a persistent rumor that the bomb partially detonated, but every declassified record shows that no nuclear chain reaction occurred. The Goldsboro incident remains one of the most alarming near misses in nuclear history. It forced changes in bomb safety design and brought home an uncomfortable truth. The greatest nuclear threat doesn't always come from the enemy. Sometimes it's the weapons we build to protect ourselves. January 24, 1961, could have been the darkest day in American history. Instead, it became a footnote, one tiny switch away from rewriting the map of the East Coast. History's full of battles, revolutions, and disasters. But sometimes, the most important stories are the ones where nothing happened, because fate decided to spare us. This was the day America almost nuked itself. Thanks for watching, and for keeping history alive by hearing these incredible, and sometimes terrifying, true stories. If you enjoyed this dive into the day, America almost nuked itself, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got more unbelievable but true tales coming your way, the kind of stories you'll want to tell your friends about. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, history has stranger twists than fiction.